Hello and welcome to Central Georgia Focus, the Ask Mayor Miller edition. I'm your host, Liz Fabian from the Murphy Center for Collaborative Journalism. Each month we sit down with Macon-Bibb County Mayor Lester Miller and ask your questions as well as questions from the journalists at the CCJ. So good to have you with us again, Mr. Mayor. There's been a lot going on since last year when we last sat down. Let's talk about some recent developments with the Macon-Bibb County Commission. Where are you with the $4.8 million purchase of the old high-rise Hilton Hotel in downtown, and where is that money coming from?
Well, we are probably 30 days out from closing from the old Hilton Hotel. The money's coming from the general fund, and we'll be replacing that money when we do some things over there. So certainly, my opinion is going to be a win-win for Macon-Bibb County. At the end of the day, we'll come out positive on that transaction. We'll have more money coming in than leaving, and then there'll be a great development there at some point in time.
Now, you've mentioned that you're planning to tear down that building. Why, and what do you hope goes in its place? And how will that happen?
Well, I think I've always said that nothing's off the table. Certainly, we've done our own investigation, due diligence, and it's going to be quite an expensive proposition for someone to save that hotel for rooms or for housing or anything. And certainly, we're not going to invest $100, $120 million, which is what it would take to do that. Folks that tried it before went bankrupt, right? You can't just inject a little capital there thinking you're going to save this building, so it's not going to be, it's going to be cost prohibitive. What I see there is the building, probably everything in the building being salvaged, getting a lot of money out of the contents of there. At some point in time, probably doing a demolition or implosion or explosion, whatever you want to call it, maybe for TV. But the building needs to come down. Between the dirt underneath the building and the contents, it's going to exceed the $4.8 million that we're paying for it. So it'll make way for some great development in that area right there outside the courthouse and even the riverfront property. So we're excited about that, and I think people are going to be satisfied with the final product. It's
only one of a few high-rise buildings, though, in the skyline. Any reservation of altering Macon's skyline?
Not at all. Just because it's tall doesn't mean it's not blighted, and who's to say something else won't be built there that adds more to the area. So we're excited about it. You can see another one there as well, but I just think that one's have lived its full life and needs to be torn down.
In that same meeting, y'all agreed to purchase the old Progressive Christian Academy Macon Charter School property over there in Pleasant Hill. That building that was built for the charter school is less than 10 years old, but yet that's coming down too. Why, and what do you hope takes its place?
Well, it's a blighted building. It's got major problems. Wasn't the best construction there. I've been in the building. I wouldn't go there now without a full hazmat suit on. It's all the walls are just black and mildew, and been leaks there for ages. It looks okay on the outside, but it was not constructed very good. So the building has to come down. What we hope to do is move on to that site another maybe 60 to 80, somewhere around that, housing there, residential on the property, separate that from the current gymnasium and the church that used to be there, and turn that out into something beneficial for the neighborhood, an indoor facility they can have events in the gym from, as well as having a potential co-op there for food insecurity. At the same time, having great residents there. That's probably about a $25 million property project that someone else will be doing, but we're going to exercise site control over it to make sure it gets done properly.
And you're talking with perhaps the Macon Housing Authority to put something there?
We're talking to several people that can use some tax credits to get it done in an efficient manner. More importantly, is good affordable housing right there when we need. I said many times that L.H. Williams has been in one of those schools that lost a lot of population. It's in jeopardy of having to close or consolidate. One way to save that is to have great projects like this that bring children to the neighborhood and give affordable housing there so they can keep the school up to go there. So I think it's going to be a win-win again for everybody. We've included the Pleasant Hills Neighborhood Association, and we've also included the commissioners in that district, and I think it's going to be a great project.
When you talk about the church, and we're talking about a chunk of property that's bordered by Madison Street and Walnut Street,
right.
And there's a brick church there. Is that the church you're talking about, like an old church-looking building? But then there's also two other buildings on that property that look a little newer, and I wasn't sure which is the gym and which is the church.
I call it church, but it's a gym. It's the two buildings on there. So you have a building there. You have a building they use for all kind of activities, like an auditorium. I know they had church there as well, so I call it a church. But if those two buildings we get to be able to use, we could use the funds off the proceeds of perhaps selling some of the property in the future for the development to repair and rehab those and kind of, restore those back to some historical significance that you have there in that area. So I think the neighborhood's excited about it. We're early on in the project, and I'll be going over there to take another look at it with them fairly soon. And I think it's going to be something that people get very excited about. It's going to be the single largest impact for one project in Pleasant Hill that I know of that's ever happened.
And how are you involving the community, and what's been their response so far about the proposal?
I met with them early on. We got the neighborhood association involved. We told them some thoughts that we were going to have on there, how we were going to acquire the property, the timelines, and we'll be taking a visit over there with them. Gave them some suggestions on how they could tap into some money too that we have out there for food deserts, perhaps to make the co-op work. And I know they've been looking for an indoor gymnasium for a while to do some other events since, Booker T's not necessarily a recreation center, even though we have the pool there and it has lots of activities there. This would allow them the ability to be able to expand things on that side as well. So they've been very receptive so far.
And a lot of the last meeting was also talking about the replacement for District 9 Commissioner Al Tillman, who stepped aside to pursue some business interests with the county and other local governments. How can you explain to the folks about the charter and what it allowed in terms of the appointment versus a special election, so that they can understand how that all came about?
Well, just in short, it's a long process, but just in short, when there's less than 12 months left on an existing term, and certainly anything in January of this year, 2024, would be less than 12 months, you have two options. You have an option to have a special election, which in this year it could only happen on May the 21st, or you can have the commission, not the mayor, the commission actually appoints the person to serve on that seat. If you do that within 20 days, you make things less complicated by having someone in that seat, so you don't have an empty seat for the whole budget period for 5 or 6 months. At the same time, you don't have the confusion of going to the polls and having to vote for an interim person and a 4-year person at the same time. It can be quite complicated and confusing to the people. So we didn't want an empty seat there, especially for that district there where a lot's going on. And also we wanted to have the voice in the community. I know sometimes people are not always excited about who you select, and then certainly there's people that got their own personal interests involved in that seat, but the commission voted on that, and the majority of the commissions voted to support that. Ms. Bailey, I think, is an excellent candidate for that, and she'll have a few months to prove herself before election herself.
How did you go about selecting her? What was I know you said it's the mayor,
Yeah.
but you were the one who put her name into nomination, right, and then the commission approved that. But how did you go about selecting her?
Well, one of the things I looked at is back in 2020, when I was running for office myself, Ms. Bailey ran for Al Tillman's seat, the seat that he occupied at that time for District 9. So you have someone that just didn't show up in the last year and try to look for an open seat to run for. Is someone that actually was involved then, who ran for office then, who had a campaign then. So she showed an interest back 4 years ago. She still had that interest now, but also she's got military experience, an educator. She's got a degree from Mercer University, from Westland. She meets all those types of things, and the demographics there are certainly African American, predominantly women, and she fits both of those categories as well. And I think she'll do a good job supporting the other commissioners in this situation.
Quickly before we go to break, though, NAACP President Gwen Westbrooks was one of those who made comments about that appointment during the meeting, and she questioned whether that appointment was deliberately delayed to allow you to put someone in that position. How do you respond to those allegations?
Well, I talked to Ms. Westbrook, and I think that something everybody needs to know is that at no point did I or any other commissioners that I'm aware of have any allegations that Mr. Tillman did no longer live in this district and that he should not have retired. He can resign on his own terms, whether that's previously, whether it's this year. Perhaps he was trying to save having to have a special election and incurring some more cost. But I've never known at one point that Mr. Tillman didn't live in this district. As far as I know, he continues to live in the district and always has been. Timing is by charter, and we don't have any control over that. I talked to Ms. Westbrook. She has since been corrected because she made some incorrect comments that night about the number of votes this particular person got before. And I think she's had a conversation with Ms. Bailey as well. So I think it's just something that people get the wrong information, and the first thing they do is get emotional and start making comments, and they realize that they didn't have the facts to support it. Not just her, but many people. So I think now they've come to realize that it was the best thing for that district.
All right, well, when we come back, it's political season in Georgia and an election year, plus lots of development on the table here in Macon, so stay tuned. Hello again. Thanks for staying with us for Central Georgia Focus. We're having a discussion with Macon-Bibb County Mayor Lester Miller. It is now, of course, time for the Georgia State Legislature in Atlanta. So I was curious, how do you see the newly redrawn districts affecting Macon and Middle Georgia?
Well, that's a question I can't really answer right now because I don't know, who may be serving us the next year. All I know is this year we have the same electors or the local delegation that we had the previous year until elections are held this year. But quite honestly, that's something out of our hands. We're going to work with whoever's there at the table. We look forward to a couple of new elections. I know there's an open seat or two that's going to be going on. And I think that we're going to probably have one or two new people, if not three, on the local delegation. So we'll get used to them. We'll watch their campaigns and see what they're running on. And we'll work with everyone just like we can. It's a little challenging. We don't have any control over those districts and the lawsuit that was filed there. But we have to accept what we have. We've had some people that were with us for a while that now no longer going to be in our district, like Robert Dickey. And I think there's some challenges going to come with that, but I think we'll work through them just fine.
And are there any specific issues that you're paying particularly close attention to or are lobbying for at the Capitol this session?
There's a lot of issues we pay close attention to. I happen to serve on the Legislative Policy Committee for the Georgia Municipal Association, so we put forth an agenda each year. We have been looking at, there's some tax bills. I know the Senate came out of Senate Finance, particularly dealing with freezing some tax assessments and some, millage rollback and things like that. I think is something finally they're getting around to doing in Atlanta that we like. But there's also some strings in there we don't like. So I think we'll be advocating for both of that. But I think with all the new business and everything coming to Georgia, we need to protect our taxpayers. So I hope that they'll do a good job on that. One of the things I'm more concerned about is quality health care in Georgia. I don't know what the Medicaid expansion argument that they're having there is, but I know that we got opportunities to serve more people in Georgia. And I'm a little disappointed that we haven't gotten further in that to make sure that people have quality health care. In Macon-Bibb County, we suffer from that, and every district is not created equally from that point. So I'm hoping they really push that forward this year. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I've asked the governor myself, is we need more money for mental health treatment, not just to speak about it, but to actually fund it. And we're going to continue to have to do that because we have some serious issues that need to be addressed on that front.
Any pieces of local legislation that directly affect Macon-Bibb County this session?
None that we've requested so far. I think that when you got an election year like this right here, it's kind of hard to get things on the agenda. They're trying to get in and out fairly quickly. They all got their own campaigns they're running for. So we're in that 2-year cycle. I suspect in 2025 there'll be several items that may be on the agenda for local delegation. But we're going to have some new people there too, so it's not really good to kind of march something through there with people that may not be there next year. So I think we'll probably wait to 2025 before we push anything locally.
Macon Day is making a resurgence at the Capitol. How important is it for local leaders to go up there and meet with the elected representatives?
Well, I think it's very important. If we're going to look for those dollars to make their way outside of Atlanta to Macon-Bibb County, we're going to have to be a better partner. And I appreciate Jessica Walden and her team leading the effort to get back to Atlanta. We're going to take the bus there with a lot of our local leaders, and there's still opportunities there for people that want to go. We're going to have a little forum there with our local delegation, ask some questions. We're also going to visit the Capitol and let them know that, who we are and the numbers that we have and how important that Middle Georgia is and Macon is to the state of Georgia. So I think it's a great first step, and I look forward to growing that over the next several years.
Of course, you have been working with the homeless situation since before you took office here, and there have been developments like the Brookdale Resource Center and such like that. We do have some questions from someone who's been through there, just wanting to know what the budget is for the county when it comes to dealing with those issues, and why is the emphasis solely on housing assistance primarily and not trying to address more root causes?
Well, we do both. Housing first is the model. We want people to get in housing. It's hard to take care of the bodies of food insecurity and the mental health and the drug. It's hard to take care of those items if you're trying to worry about shelter and being out there in the cold, the wet, the heat, whatever season it is. So housing first is the model. Brookdale's done an amazing job. That's a budget that's controlled by the United Way and a joint effort that we have with our board. We've seen a lot of people get jobs, get housing, get fresh food there as well, to get off of drugs, and also to help children there. We have a lot of children there staying there, so it's a great success. And not only there, we have other things working on with Jake Hall in our continuum of care to make sure we expand that, just not Brookdale, everywhere. And I think we're going to see some much needed improvement there, and that's another issue we're working with DCA and others on the state level. Macon-Bibb County has led the way on this issue. We had the most beds available, even the most beds that were not used. We had more beds than we had people in them during this cold spell, and that's a testament to all the people in the Homeless Coalition working together to try to take care of our most needy.
This may be way premature, but as we're taping this, there has been a man presumed to be homeless who was found dead of a stab wound just a couple of blocks from the resource center. Do you know if he had been involved in that center, or, like I said, it may be too premature, and but I just didn't know if there was any connection that you know of at this point.
The only connection I know of is this particular gentleman lost his life to a crime, and outside of Brookdale, nothing to do with Brookdale whatsoever. He did serve stay a couple of months in 2021 at Brookdale, just for a few months there to get some assistance there. Not sure the circumstances of his particular case right now or his death, but certainly it's one of those situations that have to be addressed. Don't think it has anything to do with homeless. It's probably just a dispute that he had with someone else, and I suspect that the law enforcement will be making arrests on that in a very quick matter.
What's the update on the Macon Violence Prevention Group fundings, because there are several entities working in Macon-Bibb County now under your umbrella to try to reduce violent crime?
Well, the funding's been basically allocated, and we've been giving it to Community Foundation for certain things. We've had some our own Macon Violence Prevention programs that we've had that we funded. No one has lost funded that hasn't finished up their times yet. We're still continuing to fund those that submit the proper paperwork. Maybe on a reduced schedule because we're looking at the data. We expect the data between now and April to all be in to evaluate that. We'll be making a presentation in March to the Commission on all the success and the data collected from the foundation grants as well as our other initiatives that we have going on. So by the time April gets here, we'll decide about funding just in time for budget season in May and June.
What are the data points? Are you looking for who was served, or whether someone actually interrupted something from happening? It would seem to be kind of hard to quantify that.
It's hard. It's a work in progress. Numbers engagement is the most thing. When more people get engaged and more people receiving treatment, show up for events, that certainly helps. Crime that decreases in a certain area helps. Parent involvement. We look at school disciplines. Things like if these mentors are working and doing their job, let's track that child through the school and see if they're showing up to school on time each and every day, whether or not they have a high number of absenteeisms, whether or not they have disciplinary referrals, whether or not they're graduating from school, whether or not they're getting through any arrests and things like that. So there's multiple data points, and it's not cookie cutter either. Each different group brings a different type of thing to the table. So it's something that Community Foundation as well as our Macon Violence Prevention Coordinator are working on, and we're using best practices that we learn from other folks across the United States.
All right, well, when we come back, we're going to talk about pickleball, the amphitheater, development, the Macon Action Plan, so don't go away. Thank you for staying with us for Ask Mayor Miller. Now we are in the process of getting input for the next Macon Action Plan. What kind of feedback do you look for? Raymond Tubb wants to know of 13 WMAZ, and then how is that put into place?
Well, we look for community input and things outside the box. Me, I'm always wanting to go big, so I think the sky's not even the limit. We can bust through that, and they've done a great job on the first couple of plans. I think we'll have some new information soon on the other. But the information I look for is how can you make it more inviting, more inclusive, expand our territory a little bit on where we want to serve and what we want to do, make it more walkable, bikeable, personable. To tie everything that we have to offer in Macon-Bibb County to one plan is great, but it takes all the people working together, all the input from all parts of the community to do that. And I know they've put together a good plan. We've had some meetings with them as well, and I've given them some opinions about things I like and didn't like, and things I think they can do a better job at thinking outside the box, even if it looks like this is not attainable.
Is it just downtown, or is it the whole community?
It's the whole community. It's the whole community, but we focus a lot of area downtown, on the program and just outsize there. You have the spoken wheel, so every part needs the proper attention. But I do know that they're going to make some announcements on that soon and put together the vision. And they've been working on this for a while, and I'm excited about the finished product.
What is your vision from across from Macon Mall on Eisenhower Park, where the Urban Development Authority now has a chunk of property there that includes that old flea market and places over there by Central Georgia Tech? What do you envision for that happening?
I think some mixed-use development would be the best case over there, to have some additional retails and restaurants, as well as some, we call them lofts these days, but really just housing units there for professionals and for students and things of that nature. As you can find out, there's going to be several pop-ups around that area, where there's going to be restaurants and retail. And I think we're going to have another large development very soon, at least announced part of it at the Macon Mall property itself. It's going to continue to grow. We kind of do this in a phased approach, and then you've got the pickleball, you've got our offices open up there, the amphitheater's opening up in 60 days for one of our first events.
On schedule, on track?
On schedule, on track, and we're going to have everything ready for that, and you'll see some more development in between there. I think the pickleball itself has shown the need for a hotel, perhaps on site, and I think that's something we're definitely looking at, and some more restaurant and other retail possibilities there.
Any news on what is actually going to open the amphitheater? Is it going to be a community event, not a concert, or can you share with us yet? It seems like I ask this question every time we meet.
Well, and I give you the same runaround every time we meet. You know, I'm sure there's going to be some event before the event, and we'll talk about that later on. We're certainly going to have some news about the amphitheater itself and what we may call it in the future, in the very near future. So we'll get to that step next, and we'll finish up the roads there, the lights, the security. We're winding down. We're about to have some seats in there, and I'm excited about that, hopefully starting the end of next week. And people can visualize that, and we can make sure that people are included in the process. I can see the tide turning. People are very excited about the amphitheater. Recent acts that we announced are getting a lot of shares and a lot of likes, and people are starting to realize, yes, this is for all of us. Even though my genre hadn't came up yet, I still see other things coming to the amphitheater, and we're getting a lot of excitement there.
Early voting for the presidential preference primary is next month, and yet there's not really any good signage directing people to the Board of Elections. How can you fix that in time?
We'll have plenty of signage there. I'm not worried about that, and we'll also be addressing very, very soon. You'll hear about the plan for seniors that can't maybe make it the entire way to the Board of Elections, to have other options there very nearby. So I think Tom Gillian over there and the Board of Elections are working on that, and it's a good result. Signage is something we can do very quickly. People know about the mall and know that where the Board of Election is. We just have to direct them, how to get into the mall, where it's located at, and it's going to be great. I mean, I talked to Brad Raffensperger in Atlanta just a couple of weeks ago. He mentioned how great Macon was and the state of the art that we have there at the Board of Elections, so I think we're going to lead the way.
We got very short time, but Joe Fickelstein thinks that it would be great to have an opportunity for residents to play pickleball with you, to give folks some exercise, promote pickleball, and get 1 to 3 access to the mayor, and a small contribution could be made to charity. What do you think?
Hey, I'm game for it. We play pickleball over there a lot. I've been getting more into it myself, and of course last week I couldn't get a court. We had over 2,000 people, I think, in the last 2 weeks getting in there. So
and we're out of time, so
right.
we have to invite you to send your questions to Ask Mayor Miller at mercerccj@gmail.com, and we'll get answers next month. See you then.